what the Masons have studied and his grandfather taught him. He's gotten his information from the Masons. And so what he doesn't understand is that we have one Messiah who played two different roles. We don't have two different Messiahs, but that doesn't work in their plans, so we have to go with whatever they say. But basically, folks, we had one Messiah, and he played the suffering king, and he will come back as the conquering king in his second role. Okay, so we have one Messiah fulfilling two roles, not two different Messiahs. But for the sake of having an agenda and Satan being able to twist Scripture to hell and back, this is what they've done. And so this is what the role they're going to play. Maitreya is going to be the Messiah of the Old Testament. Raymond's going to be his Moses. He's going to gather a black bride for UFO meet. And some of the stated goals that this Raymond Matkins has, he states, and this is the statements that God will allow only black Israelites to control the world. The nation of Israel will be evacuated and turned over to these black Israelites. And, I mean, that gives new meaning to the scripture that says Jerusalem will be trampled by Gentiles. He says the nation of Israel will be evacuated and turned over to the black Israelites. He says that all black Israelites will be given free transportation to occupy the nation. He says the sole purpose of two witnesses of Revelation is to replace the occupants of the nation of Israel with black Israelites. And this is where I'm seeing the coming up of Moses and Maitreya. I don't know Maitreya if he's going to actually, he is going to come saying he's Christ, so there's no way around it. All occupants of the nation of Israel who resist this takeover will be killed. All homes, buildings, and structures in the nation of Israel will be preserved and become the property of black Israelites. All Gentile prisoners on earth will be sent to this new nation to become slaves of the black Israelites. I don't know if this refers to emptying out our prisons and making everybody in our prisons go to Israel and become these slaves for them. The world will give great quantities of wealth and prosperity to this new nation. They will build a magnificent temple in the desert. Only Raymond's followers, Maitreya's followers, will be allowed safety in this refuge. I want to get back to building a magnificent temple in the desert because this seems to be the place Maitreya likes to hang out. I mean, whenever you see him in the Bible codes, it's always desert-related. You'll see two dominant things with him. You'll see Ethiopia and you'll see desert. And I find that interesting because, perhaps they do build a temple in the desert. Maybe this card is going to come out and play. He's going to build his temple in the desert. And another thing with this Ethiopia is I always thought it was, I don't know why I kept thinking Ethiopia, because I know back in the 80s when he appeared in Nairobi, Kenya, and I have those pictures on my website of when Maitreya appeared in Kenya, and you can go to Google.com and click on images and put in Maitreya, and you could just see, even, on all the sites across the internet, pictures of Maitreya on them. I don't know if he's going to come looking like that, or if he's going to come looking different. He seems to be the man of a million faces. I'm not sure exactly what he's going to come looking like. I don't know if he'll be black, white, or Arab, or Jewish, or yellow, green, purple. I don't know what he's going to come looking like. I do know he's Arab. The Bible code specifically details him as Arab. So whether he comes claiming he's Arab, I don't know. But another thing with Ethiopia, and it's always dominant in the codes, especially lately, Ethiopia being dominant. And what's going on in Ethiopia that the Rastafarians and other of these cult groups have been touting and pushing, and I even heard this in prophetic communities last year about people promoting moving to Ethiopia. And I kept thinking, why would they move to Ethiopia if Ezekiel 38 and 39 happen now and instead of much later? Ethiopia is one of the countries that gets wiped out by the Northern Army. So why would anybody go to Ethiopia? It's like going to Canada. Why would you go there? You're not going to be any safer there than anywhere else. And this is the whole thing. I think this is the bombshell here, is the fact that they are going to come up with the fact that the Ark of the Covenant is there. We've been hearing that for years, that they've detailed and they've found this Ark of the Covenant in Ethiopia, and of course, we don't know if it's the real one. I mean, Maitreya could have been sitting around with hammer and nails and building his own and buried it there for all we know. But they are going to come up with their own Ark of the Covenant. It has something to do with his arrival. When Maitreya comes as Christ, he's going to have this Ark of the Covenant. He's going to have deceptions that are going to just blow most of the church community away. Now, a lot of you thinking ones, and a lot of you ones that are prepared for this stuff are going to know it's a lie and a deception and a fraud. Okay? But there's going to be a lot that are going to support him anyway. They're going to support it, that this is the Ark of the Covenant. And it's all going to come out of Ethiopia. You know? And that's why Ethiopia is so dominant in the codes, is because they're going to find the Ark of the Covenant there, I believe. I think that's why Ethiopia is so dominant. And what he's going to do is build his black bride and start his whole black movement thing in the desert. And why not? Why not gather all of these gullible, hopefully just a handful, instead of having to say hundreds or thousands or even millions. Hopefully we're just dealing with a handful here, folks, because I can't save everybody, but I would if I could. You know, and it's not me that can. I mean, all of us have to work together to save people out there. Get all these people in the desert, and then bring the UFOs in to pick them all up. There's some lunch bait for you. You know, how much easier could it get? Get all these people assembled in the desert, and then boom, here come the UFOs. And they all think they're being raptured because they're Israel. And they've twisted all these rapture theories and scriptures. But our own churches do that. Why can't they? And they're going to. And so they're all going to go out in the desert and wait for this rapture or whatever. And, you know, another thought, folks, is that what if they use Maitreya to be the one to institute the Levitical system of worship? We know Maitreya loves a hatchet. He loves hatching people. He loves hatchet things. Hatchet and axe are always associated with his name in the codes. He's going to be very violent, very hostile. And these are very tall, dominant beings. They're not just some short little guy running around with a hatchet after you. These guys, by their sheer strength and size, are going to intimidate a lot of people. And not only just because of their strength and their size, is the fact that they can hypnotize people. There's some kind of ability that they have, some kind of chemical imbalance, or I don't know. I see the term chemical all the time. They're going to be able to mesmerize people, put them into a state of mesmerization or something, to where these people can't really move. They can't really think. I don't know how they do it. Maybe it's this tone thing that Peggy Kane mentioned, that she has heard them talk about in reverse speech, that they will use tones and sounds to put people in a hypnotic state. But whatever he does, he's going to have his own, he's going to have a place in the desert. I can just see it now. And that's where he's going to start his whole thing. And what I'm saying is that if he is the one, he comes as the old T Messiah, he institutes this Levitical system of worship in the desert for his black Israelites, and eventually their goal is to take over the land of Israel itself. Who's to say they won't at this point? And so they build the temple. What if they're the ones who build the temple in Jerusalem? And then I'm not saying he's the Antichrist. I really don't think he is. I think what happens is that the New Testament Antichrist is going to come back and get rid of Maitreya. You know, I think Maitreya is temporary. I've always felt that, but I just could never put two and two together to figure out where he ends, because I can see where he starts, and he could start at any number one of different places, but I can never see where he ends. But that's what I'm thinking, folks. I'm thinking that